Hello students, welcome to this session of Master Mains PYQ, an initiative of NEXT IAS. I really want to thank you all for showing such immense support to this program. I hope you are finding this program very helpful in your preparation. So we are continuously doing this initiative, we are running this initiative and we are getting a lot of good suggestions from you guys which we are reflecting upon. So please stay tuned with us, right? So I hope you are following this program in the manner it should be done. You have to write answers, you have to submit your answers and then come and watch these discussions, right? So we have already uploaded this question in the last video that we'll be taking up for discussion today. This question was asked in CSE 2023 GS paper 2 this year in the polity area. So this was question number 3 of the GS paper 2, which was from the devolution of powers to the local institutions, the local governance in India, right? So the question was, the states in India seem to be reluctant to empower urban local bodies both functionally as well as financially. So the two keywords that UPSC has focused on is functionally as well as financially. The directive was comment. It's a 10 marker, 150 words, right? So again, the relevance of asking this question. So recently the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act was passed in 1992. So it has been more than 30 years, right? And if you look at the issue of urban governance today, right? So the issue, the recent floodings that happened in Mumbai, Bengaluru, Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, etc. So it completely portrays a very gloomy picture of urban governance. Urban governance is a very important aspect as India is experiencing urbanization at a very fast pace, right? So that is the relevance of asking this particular question. Now, how would you introduce this question? So that is the first thing that we need to take up. So let us move towards the introduction. Now, this particular question is about urban local bodies, right? The first thing that I want to highlight is what is the type of the question, right? Before taking up the introduction, I just want to highlight type of the question, right? Let us speak on the demand of the question for 1 minute. So it is a context based question and there is a directive, that is comment, right? Comment is the directive. Now if you look at the context, the states in India seem reluctant to empower urban local bodies both functionally as well as financially. So I already stated that it has been more than 30 years since constitutionalization of local governance in India, but urban governance is having a lot of issues, right? Both on the functional side as well as financial side, right? So this is this statement that has been given, it is a statement of fact, right? You will not be able to easily refute it. So the directive comment here requires basically is to give an idea, to reflect on this statement using your arguments supported by data, evidence, examples, etc., etc., right? So that is basically, so we are very much clear with the context of the question that yes, this is right, this is absolutely right as far as urban local bodies are concerned. It's a 10 marker, so there is no scope for debate here, right? I am not denying that not much has happened, but the assertion, the tone of the question is that the states in India seem reluctant to empower, and which to a large extent is one of the problems of urban local bodies in India. So we will agree and we have to show that what functional and what financial challenges urban local bodies are facing because of the state's disinterest in empowering them, right? Now coming to the introduction. Now as far as the introduction is concerned, you can keep the introduction very simple, right? As far as the introduction is concerned, you can highlight any report to showcase the reluctance of states in India. So you can write about 74th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992, which provided the constitutional status to urban local bodies, and there is a very recent report by Niti Aayog. Right. So the report was titled Reforms in Urban Planning and Capacity in India, which basically highlights that in India only 12 states so far have devolved effective powers to urban local bodies. Right. So this report in itself clearly highlights states' reluctance to empower the urban local bodies. Now, if you talk about the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, the act definitely provides for a 12 schedule which demarcates the functional domain, but it has not provided for a separate municipal finance list in the constitution. The problem is that without a separate municipal finance list, the functions that has been devolved to the municipalities and the funds that are made available to them, there is a gross mismatch between them, right? And this is resulting in poor performance of the municipalities in India, the municipal governance in India, right? So this is the idea that you have to highlight in your introduction. After introduction, you will come to the body of the answer. So let us jump on to the body of the answer. Okay. Now, the body of the answer you have to again draw from the context of the question. So the question is talking about functional issues and financial issues of urban local bodies. So let us first take up the functional issues, right? So we will create a heading: reluctance of states to empower local bodies functionally, right? So this would be our first heading. It's a two-part answer. We have to showcase functional, we have to showcase financial. It would be better if you separate these parts. Each part will have 4 points, right? So in total you can write 8 points in the answer. So it would be better if you separate these two aspects, because these are very different aspects of municipal governance. So if we talk about the functional aspect, the very first point that you can note, right, and you need not write more than 4 points in a particular part, it's just a 10 marker, but I'll be discussing the answer in detail. So the first point would be poor devolution of powers, right? So the most of the states, they are reluctant to transfer effective powers, devolve functions to the local municipal bodies, right? And this has been highlighted by a CAG report of 2018 and 2019, right? That most of the states, they have not devolved effective functions to the municipal bodies, and they are just using them as tools to wield political power, right? Except for some functions like sanitation, sewage, water, etc. Not effective functions have been devolved. The 12 schedule contains a list of 18 items which so far has not been effectively devolved. Certain southern states like Karnataka, etc., they have done that, and they are witnessing improved reforms, right? So that is the first aspect that you need to highlight. The second is this poor devolution is coupled with poor capacity, right? Poor capacity. So most urban local bodies, they lack capacity. So they lack what type of capacity? They lack administrative capacity, right? They lack administrative capacity, they lack technical expertise, and they also lack the financial resources, the financial resources to effectively meet the functions that has been devolved to them till now, right? So this poor capacity development in urban local bodies, it is one of the major problems that is hindering the effective governance in our cities. Moving on to the next point, the next point you can highlight is overlapping functions. Now, in most of the cities you will find overlapping functions. Now, most of the municipalities, you'll find that there are different agencies that are involved in planning and infrastructure development. Now, having different agencies involved along with the metro, the local bodies, urban local bodies or municipal corporations, right? It leads to lack of accountability, delays and resource wastage. Some of the examples you can see that there is a BBMP in Bangalore, but despite having a BBMP, there are separate entities like Bangalore Development Authority for land regulation, right? So there are multiple agencies in the state along with the urban local body to cater to the needs of the state. If you look at example of Mumbai, you take an example of Mumbai, there is BMC, right? There is BMC in Mumbai, right? Now, if you look at the administrative setup of the governance in Mumbai, there are more than 19 agencies that run Mumbai. For example, there is MSRDC, which is responsible for development of roads and transportation. There is Mumbai Metropolitan Regional Development Authority, MMRDA, right, which along with the BMC looks at the planning part in the city, right? So it along with the BMC, it looks for the planning and infrastructural development. So this creates overlapping functions and it creates hindrances in the functioning of the urban bodies, right? There is a problem of parallel agencies and special purpose vehicles. Now, most state governments have created parallel agencies or special purpose vehicle dedicated for a certain purpose. If you look at the smart cities mission, it is being done under the aegis of special purpose vehicles that are created by the state government, central government, etc. Right. So this in the process discourages the urban local bodies present there, which perpetuates issues of capacity and devolution of powers that we discussed earlier, right? So issue of parallel agencies and SPV that you need to highlight. Moving on, issue of elections. There is issue in timely elections. So delay in elections. Now, as far as the delay in elections is concerned, there was a CAG report of 2018-19 which highlights that almost 75% of the states that are in the purview of the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, right, which have an effective local governance in place, they are facing delays in organizing elections to urban local bodies, right? Apart from that, the State Election Commission, we have State Election Commission which is responsible for elections there. It is also having no real authority, no delimitation power, and it remains very poor in effective functioning, so which is leading to a lot of delays. The next important point that you can talk about is authority of mayors. Authority of mayors. So if you talk about the authority of mayor, he is the first citizen in the state, right, in the city, and currently he is the head of the municipal corporation, but the problem is he is just a ceremonial head, right? He doesn't have effective real powers. The executive decisions in the city are taken by municipal commissioners, right? They are taken by municipal commissioners who are basically appointed by the state government. So this is one part of the problem, that is not having any real authority. The second part of the problem is his tenure. Mayors in across different states in India, they have erratic tenures. For example, if you look at Bengaluru, the mayor has a tenure of 1 year. In BMC, the mayor has a tenure of 2.5 years. In Bhopal, he has a tenure of 5 years. So shorter the tenure, the less time he gets to understand what he has to do. The second problem is that only 9 states in India so far have direct election as far as mayor is concerned. Be it Bangalore, be it Mumbai, most of the states and cities there, they have an indirectly elected mayor, right? So this is again a problem. Now the next problem is ward committees. If you talk about the ward committees, right? So in most of the states, these ward committees face excessive political interference, right? So they are not functioning properly, or there is a problem of constituting these ward committees in a very transparent manner as mandated by the constitution, or they are basically dormant entities, right? So they are no longer reflecting on the grievances of the people. So these are the basic problems of the functional aspect that you can basically highlight. I have discussed it holistically, but you just need to write 3 to 4 points in this part. Now we will move to the next part of the answer, that is financial issues, right? How states are not empowering the local bodies financially. You have to first give a brief heading. So reluctance of states to empower the ULBs financially. So we have already discussed the functional issues. Now we will proceed with the financial issues, right? So the very first point is limited resources devolved, right? So this is perhaps one of the most severe problems of urban local bodies, that the resources, the financial resources that has been devolved to them, it is mostly they are not enough. First of all, they are not enough to meet the functions that has been assigned, and the second is that most of the urban local bodies, they function as a resource dispersal organization, so they are not able to generate their own revenue resources. So this is one of the biggest challenges that has been highlighted by various reports. So one of the reports that you can highlight here is the economic survey, of 2018-19. So it highlighted that there exists a low equilibrium trap as far as urban local body finances and revenue generation is concerned. So at present what is happening, so they are only able to arrange 4% of their entire revenue, right? They're able to generate only 4% of their entire revenue. The rest of the 96% is coming as grants in aid, right? So they are heavily dependent on the center and states for their funding, right? So this is the biggest problem, because unless they are generating revenue for themselves, they will not be able to do proper planning as has been envisaged in the constitution and the 74th constitutional amendment act. The second problem that they face from the state side is they don't have authority. There is a lack of authority. Now at present what is happening, that the states, they specify what taxes the municipalities can levy and collect, right? So if the municipality has to borrow funds, right, it is as per the law made by the state. The municipality also is constrained by the fact that how they are going to repay the borrowings that they have taken, right? For what purpose the funds can be spent. So there are severe constraints. They lack authority, and this lack of autonomy as far as fixing tax rates is concerned, and there are low trust coefficient between urban local bodies and the state government, it basically handicaps the urban municipal governance in India. So this again is a big problem for the urban local bodies in many of the major cities. Now coming to the financial resources, the powers that they have, there is an issue of lack of diversified resources. So we will just talk about how they are generating the revenue resource and what is the problem. The biggest problem is there is a lack of diversified revenue resource, right? Now the first aspect is over 60% of the finances, the revenue that comes to the urban local bodies, the municipal corporations, comes from property tax, right? So there is an over reliance on property tax, right? Now the problem is that despite such a dominance of property tax in this pool, there is very low collection compared to OECD countries, right? So the collection in India, it is marred by very low coverage, very low collection efficiency, and lack of proper indexation of the property value, right? Many states, despite the finance commissions telling them, they have not set up proper property tax boards in India, right? So there is no idea of the proper valuation of the property and therefore the tax rates. So this is one part of the problem. The second part of the problem is coming to the diversified sources. So other sources like municipal bonds, the user charges, the borrowings, these are not properly explored. Now if we talk about the other non-tax revenue sources, so amongst them user charges has a lot of potential, and it has been severely underutilized in Indian cities, right? Particularly by the municipal corporations, right? So basic services that the municipality gives, like water supply, sewerage, sanitation, etc. So whatever user charges they collect, it is not sufficient to finance the operation and maintenance cost. The tax rates have not changed, the charges have not changed, right, for a long time. So this again is a big problem as far as revenue generating capacity of the urban local bodies in India is concerned. Now moving on to the next part of the problem, the State Finance Commission, right? So one of the problems of the State Finance Commission is that many states have not constituted SFCs. So we are talking about the State Finance Commissions, State Finance Commissions. So periodic reconstitution is a big problem. Many states have not constituted or not reconstituted timely, right? As the Central Finance Commission is constituted every 5 years, the State Finance Commission also is a constitutional authority and needs to be created every 5 years to account for the finances in the state, right? So this is a big problem. Most of the SFCs, they worked under extreme resource constraints. Most of the SFCs, they waste a lot of time of theirs in collecting data, something that the state government should ideally do. And because of lack of this real time data, the Central Finance Commission is not able to accommodate the real picture of what is happening in the state, right? So often it is extrapolates based on the previous data, the Central Finance Commission, right? So this also leads to lack of a clearer picture, and often whatever recommendations that the SFCs give to the states, they are also properly not implemented. Now the next problem is the issue, something that the 15th Finance Commission has highlighted, the principle of subsidiarity. Right. So what is the principle of subsidiarity? What can be done at the local level should be done at the local level, right? So there is a complete lack of principle of subsidiarity as far as the urban local governance is concerned. Now this has been highlighted by the 15th Finance Commission also, because certain subjects like health and sanitation, they require a huge amount of funding. So this function has been devolved, but enough funds has not been earmarked for that purpose. The second problem is the tied nature of the grants that the Finance Commission gives, right? The tied nature of the grant, it allows them little flexibility and innovation, right? So this again becomes a problem for urban local bodies as far as planning component is concerned. Now this is again a problem. The next point that you can highlight is the accounting and budgetary practices. So most of the urban local bodies, they suffer from inadequate accounting and budgetary practices, right? So they are not very sound, they don't follow very sound accounting and budgetary practices. This leads to poor financial management and poor accountability, and often it makes it very difficult for the municipalities to track the spending, right? And often leads to corruption, it leads to utilization issues as far as utilization of funds are concerned. So these are the various problems that are creating these are the problems that the municipalities are facing in India, because the states are not properly empowering them. This completes this part of the body. Right now, after the body is done, what should be the ideal way forward? Now it's a 10 marker, you can conclude this answer, right, and proceed. But a better would be to highlight certain suggestions. Now since it's a 10 marker, you don't need to give 3 4 5 suggestions. You can limit yourself to 2 to 3, right, suggestions, good suggestions. I'll give you a holistic picture of the suggestions that you can give. You can highlight any 2 to 3 suggestions out of these and then stop your answer. So moving on to the suggestions, that is the way forward. We will write way forward for this answer. So the very first point that you need to highlight as far as municipalities are concerned, that they should focus on improving their own revenue resources. So collection of property taxes, right, collection of property taxes, user charges, these need to be improved as far as the municipalities are concerned. The second point is the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission and the principle of subsidiarity, which states that what can be done best at the local level should be done at the local level. So certain functions like sanitation, health, urban forestry, right, all these things can be devolved to the municipal corporation, right, and let them come up with new initiatives, planning across the purpose, so that a bottom up approach is created, right. Moving on, the next important point that you can highlight is regular elections. Regular elections. So this is one of the biggest problems of urban local bodies today in India. Elections are not happening properly on time, right? So there needs to be a diversity as far as the state leadership is concerned and the local governance leadership is concerned. So this diversity can only be ensured when there is periodic elections, right? Otherwise there will be interference from the state governments. Now as far as the institution of mayor is concerned, the mayor, as far as possible, should be an elected body. His tenure should be kept to a minimum period of 5 years, so that he can also perform effective duties, and he should be devolved, granted with some real authority that is presently lacking, right. Ward committees need to be reconstituted with transparently as mandated by the constitution. Now these are some of the suggestions. Some of the other suggestions that are very much important as far as the 12th schedule are concerned. So reforms under the 12th schedule, right. So there are 18 subjects, so there needs to be a dedicated grant in aid window, right. So there needs to be a dedicated grant in aid window so that the 12th schedule functions can be implemented by the municipalities through these grants, right. There are 18 functions, so you need to empower them with a dedicated grant in aid window, right. So this is something that needs to be done. Other than that, you can also propose that there is a need to initiate Article 280 Clause 3 Clause C, right. 280 Clause 3 Clause C. So under the existing format, this article is very much discriminatory to the local bodies, because it doesn't allow them to access the divisible pool of resources, right, directly in the intergovernmental fiscal framework. So at present what is happening, they are at best functioning as grantee institutions, right. So Article 280 Clause 3 Clause C needs to be amended so that they get their space in the intergovernmental fiscal framework. Other than that, sound accounting practices, training of functionaries need to be undertaken. So all these things that you can highlight in this particular answer. So this completes our answer for today. Now This free initiative, I'm really happy that you guys have given this an overwhelming support, but we really want to engage with you. So whoever has good suggestions, please do drop in the section. If you liked something, please highlight, right? And any constructive feedbacks, I would really want you guys to engage with us in the comment section, right? And I hope you are getting your copies evaluated on time. You can reach out to us, right, through the comment section. Thank you.